So let's use Dr. John first, and I'm going to skip ahead and say, where would you go first? If you're Dr. John, where do you go to get your local business listing? I guess we touched on that a little bit. Get listed. Where else? What right, is there 3 or 4 or 5 top ones?
Right. So you can definitely use Get Listed to make sure you're in these places and sort of we give you the link right there. If you wanted to go to the search engines directly, kind of manually on your own, the Google version of the local index is called the Local Business Center, and the URL, the address for that is google.com/local/add, ADD. For Yahoo, it's a much more complicated URL that I always just search for, which is something like listings.local.yahoo.com/csubmit or something like that. If you add submit to the end of Yahoo local listings, see what comes up there. Maybe they may have changed the URL in the last couple of days, but anyway, this is more or less the place. So this is exactly the reason we created GetListed.org, right? Because we've if you punch in your
them all the time.
That's right. If you punch in your business name,
I don't know why.
If you get your business name and zip code in there, we sort of direct you to the right place automatically. So anyway, so that would be making sure you've got an address at the search engines that's in the particular location, and obviously if you're a mom and pop business and you've been at the same place for 30 years, and most of your customers come from the next town over, well you hopefully have already expanded to the next town over and opened a location closer to them, because again that is the number one factor according to the experts as far as ranking well in local, is actually having an address in the city that's being searched.
Cool. I don't remember if it was True Local or who had the Bruce Clay did the original chart of who provided data for who.
Right. Yep.
Do you know who did the I know there's a local one floating around.
That Bruce Clay also has a local version. Yep.
Okay.
And so if you do a search for I believe it's SERC local Bruce Clay or something like that, that should pull it up. That's definitely a little bit out of date. I don't think that he's updated it recently, but you'll sort of get the idea for how local search works in terms of who is providing data to whom. That's the right one, that first search result. And there was another slide shown on a Kelsey Group webinar a few weeks ago that was sort of floating around the Twitter sphere for about an hour until one of Localese's vice presidents, or I'm not sure what his title is, but Gib Olander said, "Oh wow, that's out of date also." So there really isn't a good slide to show the actual relationships, but this one gives you a sense of who the major players are and just sort of how it works in terms of Google getting data from multiple sources and everyone else kind of feeding each other. So
yeah. And so that's where it comes into play. I mean, when I started, it was basically InfoUSA and Axiom, and if you got into those two, you're pretty much golden. And you can see with this one, even though, like you said, it's out of date, that fed a good portion of everything. And if you got in there, you were pretty much good to go. But the more places you get, certainly the better. So
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and Axiom did the exact same thing Yahoo did. I know they used to have listing places where you could list and edit your listings, and that's pretty much disappeared over time.
Right, and Yahoo still has that. It's just that they, for whatever reason, the search we did wasn't pulling it up. But again, if you go to getlisted.org and punch in your business, that should take you to the right place. So.